So this week's bestiary section, we have the Grim Reaper and the Sovereign Dragon. Because again, Halloween, they just happen to be introduced in this section, and I love this. So with the Grim Reaper, these are very strange creatures that appear as floating executioner's hood to begin with, and they're able to be worn as an invisible person by an invisible person. In all reality, there is nothing inside of the hood, just like with nightmares and the regular Reapers. The hood floats at head height, and along with their double-edged axe that floats alongside them. At first, their double-edged axe is rusty, and just like with the Reapers, their scythes are rusty. As they kill more, it basically polishes it more, and they develop more of the outfit itself, just like with the Nightmares. I just love the fact that they have this double-bladed axe, and I don't know why it took me so long to be like, oh my god, that's the axe. Just like on every other book that she has, she some kind of weapon from the series. So with the mythology of Grim Reapers, they're based off of the spooky stories about curses left over from public executions. Prisoners or so-called witches and madmen alike would often try to curse or hex the audience before they were hanged, shot, or decapitated, trying to get them to basically stop from killing them. A lot of people thought that this was actual magic and would cause everybody who watched to die an unfortunate death. So basically, they're just essentially discouraging these public executions. The superstition is the basis for the Grim Reaper in the Frith Chronicles. Now, Grim Reaper's trial of worth is different than the Reaper, even though basically you have one Reaper, you basically can bond with any Reaper. With the Grim Reaper, you have to bring the severed head of either of your parents as the bonding, instead of with the regular Reaper as just killing somebody in your family.
Which really gives you two options. One, you sever the head and keep the head until you find a Grim Reaper, or you find a Grim Reaper and at that point decide that you're going to cut the head off of one of your parents.
Do you think they'd be like, hey, I'll take this on credit?
Give me a couple weeks. I'll get back to you.
I'll be right back. Can you follow me? Actually, I'm just a couple islands over. Like, just got to make a pit stop real quick.
Can I borrow that axe?
With Grim Reapers, they are tier 2 through 4, and the only way for them to be able to increase their power is to continue their serial killing of the Maker. Now, when we mean Maker, that goes into the reproduction of the Grim Reaper itself. It is a fable. The Grim Reapers are born from the blood of a serial murderer only once they've been publicly executed. And in the bestiary itself, she defines what a serial killer is, and that's basically anybody that has a ritualistic fashion that has killed over 13 individuals. If they killed blonde people, just picking a random thing here, if they kill blonde people and then they become a Grim Reaper, their arcanist starts to kill blonde people, then they become more powerful. Now, with their evocation, they have draining gases. The Grim Reapers are able to evoke a cloud of gas that drains the physical strength of all nearby living creatures. This doesn't have any effect on the undead, though. They're able to manipulate dead bodies, and they are able to animate them once more. The dead bodies do have access to physical skills they had in life. So if it's a dead archer, they're able to shoot a bow and arrow, that kind of thing. Augmentation is paralysis. They are able to individually gain superhuman strength, and when they augment others, they cause full body paralysis. When Grim Reapers go to imbue items, it basically gives it undead traits, as far as gives the wearer or the wielder immunities to death or heightened physical traits. Now, the passive abilities, and this is one of my favorite things that I feel almost makes this OP, is that once they gain tier 3, their axe causes an instant death. So you get nicked by it as a tier, if the Reaper is a tier 3, and you did. Now, along with this instant death from their axe, Grim Reapers are also immune from instant death effects. So if a Grim Reaper kills another Grim Reaper or a Reaper, they don't die from the King's Revenge. And lastly, with the Grim Reapers being able to merge with their Arcanist, they live and die as a single being, and they also empower their Arcanist with speed and strength along with theirs. Now, moving on to their auras, they have what's called Blood Curdle, which causes a red moon to appear in the sky, and then basically along with a normal moon or sun. And its glow prevents magical healing from all sources of tier 4 and below. So, sovereign dragons, literally everything. Like, they are death incarnate. Like, we see all these dragons being these super OP, powerful beings, and then here the Grim Reapers are just like, nah, hold my beer. Now, their true form is a gaze, so they have to accomplish something in order to achieve a true form. And their true form challenge is that they must kill another Grim Reaper Arcanist in order for their Eldrin to transform. Because iron sharpens iron, and they can't die from the King's Revenge, so why not? You know? Once a Grim Reaper has achieved its true form, the Executioner's outfit becomes a spectral shroud. It's basically like a ghost, and it takes the shape of whatever it wants. It's mostly incorporeal, and the axe becomes extremely ornate. Its ability as a true form is the Nightmare Visage. What happens is when the Grim Reaper merges with their Arcanist, its appearance changes to resemble the thing their opponent most fears. So this causes it tricks the enemies, and it's a trick of the mind, but not an actual transformation. So anybody that is immune to mind effects probably would be immune to this. So Nightmare Arcanists, other Reaper Arcanists, more than likely wouldn't have any problems with this, but we see how bad terrors affect people with the Master Arcanists. So I can only imagine having an individual, like an actual Reaper doing this, Grim Reaper doing this. And then in world lore, the Grim Reapers and the Arcanists are always seen as bad omens, the worst omens in our world. They represent the worst of humanity. But due to their power and their death abilities, few dare challenge them. For a short time in history, a council of Grim Reaper and Reaper Arcanists ruled over a powerful city-state where people were killed in mass in order to produce more fable mystical creatures like the Reaper.
The Sovereign Dragon, also extremely powerful. So they're described as being muscle dragons with black and red scales, leather wings, and horns. They're curved forward like a bull's. They grow to massive sizes, almost as large as 3-story buildings, and have claws that can cut you in half, like literally cut you in half. From mythology, they are based on kind of the old legends of kings and emperors. So in China, there's a term called the Mandate of Heaven, which states that there should be one ruler because they're sort of powered by the gods. Likewise, in England, it was said that a single noble king could bring prosperity. So these legends influence the power of the sovereign dragon being the one true ruler. In order to bond with them, they have to participate in a grand competition where the final test is a duel to the death between all leftover participants at that point. They are tier 4 being a dragon, and they do reproduce through progeny, so they make their nests in the heart of nations, preferably near castles or other large courtrooms. They reproduce every 10 years and consume a large amount of fresh meat, and that's when we saw the egg in the Sovereign Dragon tournament to bond with the hatchling.
This is surprising because even in Colosseum Arcanists, they were like, this just never happens. Like, they don't reproduce on a schedule like the Phoenixes do, but I guess here we have confirmed that they do actually.
Once a decade.
But I guess they have to consume a lot of flesh.
They are able to evoke white flames, so these burn hotter than the flame of other typical dragons, and they're able to manipulate the weather. So this can be all across a kingdom and essentially expands the territory of the dragon and helps with the training of the Arcanists can expand the area as well. They are able to augment willpower. So when they augment others, they give them additional willpower, additional mental fortitude, passion, perseverance, all of that. And this can really help individuals break out of mind-controlled abilities. So things where we saw, you had to break out of the mental prism for the true form ethereal whelk. Could be boosted by a sovereign dragon potentially. When augmenting themselves, they become immune to domination and illusions. When imbuing, they do help create mystical items that embolden the person who used them, and they also have passive abilities related to immunity to fire. We did see the prosperity aura, so it creates no visible manifestation, but plants grow faster, individuals make better decisions, the nation has increased ambition, so it really just is designed to help build the nation as a whole, rather than kind of influence any one specific person. Their true form virtue is they have to embody the traits of an autocrat, so that's what we saw with King Roshan. So as soon as he bonded, true form, because he had that full authoritarian value. When they get to their true form, they do get an extra set of smaller wings, their horns curved together into a crown, and they gain the ability the greatest nation, so it improves their aura, so it becomes larger and more powerful. In world lore, they are seen as natural leaders, so they've always been seen as rulers of nation, and all throughout history, especially with the prosperity aura, it makes sense for them to be in power. Because of this, some nations only allow sovereign dragon arcanists to be kings or queens, and this is just to ensure that they always have that aura to help the nation.
I mean, as far as like a overall standpoint, sovereign dragons are a pretty impressive nation building Eldarin, that's for sure.
Very specific purpose.
I don't get me wrong, hate Roshan, absolutely hate Roshan, but that's freaking awesome that it has a crown of horn, like its horns form into a crown.
It is. The description of it was just so cool when it first happened. You're like, okay, that's pretty badass.
One, and it was such a huge thing that, like, oh my gosh, you could literally bond with and get a true form all in one go, like
right away.
All right, and with this, again, we're gonna be having this on Halloween Day for those. So definitely happy and excited that we are able to get these to talk about these two mystical creatures. We do want to thank everybody for listening today, and that reminder that in about a month and some change, we got the Labyrinth Arcanist coming out on December 10th, and I assume future us is going to tell past us whether we have Nickelan plushies in the future or not. So I'm going to be super excited to find that out.
I know. I want my plushie.
I do too.
Eric, Scott, and I want to thank everyone for listening today. We post a new episode every Wednesday morning at 11 Eastern, 10 Central, and 8 Pacific Standard Time. We are on all podcasting platforms and are also on YouTube as well for video. After the additional episode airs, we post chapter-by-chapter videos every day in a smaller, easier-to-digest format. We do want to give a special shout-out to the final member of our team, Dan Mackison, one of the admins for the Frith Chronicles wiki, link listed below, and doing his best to keep everything running smoothly behind the scenes. If you want to reach out to us, you can email us at frithguildpod@gmail.com or on Facebook or any other social media by searching for Frith Guild Podcast. Just to remind everybody, we have links to everything in the description below on both the podcast and YouTube. Scott, do you have anything else you want to add this week?
Does Time Marked 2, when does that come out?
Oh, I know in November, I think.
It's like I'm trying to get to my notes as well. November 12th.
Okay. So November 12th, we have a new Time Mark Warlock. I believe it's 24-hour Warlock, if I'm not mistaken on the title of it. And future me can tell past me if I'm right or wrong. Because time manipulation works. It works because it's Time Mark Warlock, so.
It does. And it'll be good, too. I have no doubt about that.
Yes. I know John, Shami's husband, has constantly been saying that it is even or as good or better than Time Marked Warlock. So super excited about that. I think we'll catch you guys next week.